convicted of second-degree murder and full-out murder, which no one really expected. So he got some action. So now there's a federal trial amongst the 3 other cops. And this doesn't have to do with what happened at that moment. It has to do with what they didn't do. And it is a civil rights trial, and arguing that these 3 cops took away George Floyd's civil rights by depriving him of care that the law mandates he would get. And the cops were not allowed to be indifferent to the plight of George Floyd. So, Tom Tao, I don't know if I got that name together, Tao, is the first defendant charged, and he testified. He's gone on the stand, and he talked about it. And you never know whether a defendant's going to go on the stand or not. Usually not. But a lot of it had to do with his state of mind, and the only way to determine his state of mind is to have him talk. Incidentally, the other 2 cops told the judge that they're also going to testify. And so Tao, first of all, talks about why he wanted to be a cop, and it's very, what's society, I want to protect everybody, saying yada, 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 to come up so the jury knows he's a good guy. And where this is going, and the big issue has to do with what these 3 officers did or did not do during the course of Chauvin putting his knee on George Floyd's neck, killing him, murdering him. And the defense that I think all 3 of them, certainly Tao, is using is he said he was, the training is to use your knees to keep a suspect pinned to the ground. And as a matter of fact, his attorney takes a photo of Tao that was taken during his training in 2009 Police Academy and showed him and another cadet pinning a handcuffed a suspect is an actor in the house for this, pinning that suspect to the ground in a prone position. And Tao said that he and the other cadet, during that specific training session, and this proves it, were told to use your knees to restrain a suspect under these conditions. And why, he was asked. Well, because using the knee is leverage and it prevents the suspect from rolling around or getting up. So Tao's attorney asked, just to be clear, is this something that was typically taught at the academy when you were there? And Tao says, yes, we were trained. We were trained to put our knees on the backs and necks of suspects under these situations. And then his attorney said, were you ever told it's improper to do that? And he said, no, I was never told it was improper. Now, we already know that several training supervisors said that all 3 of the defendants ignored their training as George Floyd was held to the ground. There is a discrepancy. I mean, really clear. Tao is saying, I was trained to do this. In his case, he didn't actually commit the crime. What he was doing is he was holding back the crowd. He's probably less complicit than the other 3 cops, although he's part of the scenario where all 4 of the police officers denied George Floyd his civil rights. That's the allegation. And so his complicity, his part of it was he guarded the incident from some spectators that were moving up, and people were really pissed off as they saw what was happening to George Floyd. There was a lot of screaming going on towards the police officer, and what Tao did is he ran interference. So here's what prosecutors are saying. You know what? None of these defendants, including you, Tao, did anything to stop Chauvin's excessive force, use of force, or even provide medical assistance. That's the big one here. And Tao testified that he and Chauvin were partnered up on the day. They were eating lunch when they got a call, and they were going there to back up 2 other cops that were there. A dispatcher says, don't go, it's okay. But Chauvin said, you know what, Cup Foods, where this is taking place, is hostile to police, so let's go there just to see what's going on. And originally, Tao and Chauvin were going there just to act as security in case things got out of hand. Oh, did they? When they arrived, they found 2 other police officers who were involved, not been charged, struggling to get Floyd, who was combative, into the back of a squad car. We know that story, and Floyd is very upset. He is yelling, I have claustrophobia, I can't get into the car. And then that started the situation where Chauvin's knee ended up on George Floyd's neck. And Tao testified 8 years as a police officer. He had never seen this much of a struggle. And he said that Floyd looked like he was on some kind of drugs, and he had superhuman strength, much like police officers testify when someone's on PCP. And he was there when George Floyd, he heard complain that he couldn't breathe, but he said after Eric Garner in New York in 2014, who said, I can't breathe, everybody says they can't breathe. And am I going to go on? There's more to this. Yeah, let me go on. And coming up, I'm going to finish this story because it's important that we go through the entire scenario. Let's talk about some news with Jennifer, and we have some news on the pandemic.
Yeah, the pandemic could be in its final stages. According to the head of the vaccine company Moderna, he told CNBC it's reasonable to assume that as COVID-19 evolves, it could become less virulent. The head of NATO says it appears Russia's continuing to mass troops along the Ukrainian border. Earlier today, the NATO UN Secretary General said what's happening on the border is the opposite of Russia's claim it's moving troops back to their bases. And the former CEO of Google is making a big bet on artificial intelligence. Eric Schmidt's investing $125 million. He says some focus must be put on any unintended consequences that may arise from the use of artificial intelligence. We'll take a look at your drive with the Kfi in the sky in just a moment.
It's a good time to refinance your house. I know you hear that all the time. It's a good time to do this. It's a great time to do that. Well, this one makes a lot of sense because interest rates are still ridiculously low, and they're going up. Fed's already said next month the interest rate's going to go up, which means that home mortgage rates are going to go up. At the same time, the equity in your home has gone up dramatically, and it's doing nothing. So why wouldn't you borrow against the equity? Pay very little money for that money and then invest it. Let's say you're paying 3%, you make 5%. Or you want to remodel or college tuition. It really doesn't matter because the cost of money is so cheap and it's going to go up. HMS Capital, a company I'm recommending to do exactly that. They're the only lender I know that encourages you to apply with other lenders at the same time. They're that confident they can get you the best deal, and I've done 2 mortgages with HMS Capital. Call 833-255-5698, 833-255-5698. Visit hmscapital.com.
HMS Capital Funding is a DBA of Golden Farming. MLS ID number 2427. HMS Capital is licensed by the Department of Financial Protection and Innovation under the California Residential Mortgage Lending Act. License number 4130360. Equal housing lender.
SoCal weather from KFI. Mostly sunny and windy today with highs from the low to mid-60s. This report is brought to you by Whole Foods Market. Let's get an update on the 10.
You betcha. Thanks, Ed. Boy, busy morning here. If you just on this. First, the eastbound Santa Monica Freeway. That's section of the 10 at Western, getting close to downtown. 2 left lanes were blocked for a long time. It's all clear. I can assure you of that. However, it's become a really tough drive now from Crenshaw all the way in towards downtown Los Angeles. And westbound, boy, there must be something going out to the west. Everybody's driving there. It's just a crawl all the way out through about Robertson. Back to the San Fernando Valley real quick. Earlier problems. East 101, though, is still jammed. Coming to work from Topanga to Reseda. A problem in between Tampa Reseda to the shoulder. After that, speeds will improve. Jeff Baugh, KFI in the sky.
Save on dinner staples at Whole Foods Market. Get animal welfare certified 80% lean ground beef for $3.99 per pound through February 22nd, plus an extra 10% off for Prime members while supplies last. See more on the Whole Foods Market app.
This report is sponsored by Norm's Restaurants. Norm's Restaurants is offering 2 dinners for only $22.22 on Tuesday, February 22nd from 2:22 p.m. until 9 p.m. Dine in or take out. That's 2 dinners for only $22.22. Visit them at norms.com.
Having football down to a science starts with having sleep down to a science, because the better you sleep, the better you show up on game day. That's why Rams players rely on the Sleep Number 360 Smart Bed. It senses their movement and automatically adjusts to keep them effortlessly comfortable. and it tracks vital sleep metrics like average heart rate and average breath rate, so they know exactly how well they slept. It tackles the science. All they have to do is sleep. And now, during the Ultimate Sleep Number event, save 50% on the Sleep Number 360 Limited Edition Smart Bed, only for a limited time. Sleep Number, the official sleep and wellness partner of the LA Rams.
Attention service contractors. Hey, it's Dean Sharp. Let me guess. You would love to grow. You'd love to put even more technicians in the field, but you're barely keeping up with the ones that you've got, and you're wondering if growing will mean that you still own your business, or will it own you? I have an answer. Service Titan, the world's leading all-in-one software for service businesses like yours. There is a reason the most successful contractors out there, some of which are your competitors, use Service Titan. It was born in the trades. The founders watched their own fathers struggle as paper invoices and late nights kept them from time with their families. So they went looking for a solution, and when they couldn't find one, they built it themselves. Service Titan will supercharge your workflow, transform the way you do business. Your office will love it, your technicians will love it, so will your customers and your family. You've got a great service company. Now it is time to make it better. Book a Service Titan demo today at servicetitan.com. That's servicetitan.com.
Yamava Resort and Casino at San Manuel wants to see you in a brand new ride or with thousands in cash on us. Join us every Thursday in February for a chance to win a 2022 Mercedes-Benz S580 or up to $100,000. Earn entries all month long by using your club Serrano card and listen for your name to be called at 7 p.m., 8 p.m., and 10 p.m. Stay late for an extra chance to win big at our 10 p.m. free play bonus drawing. Unique giveaways and so much more to explore only at Yamava. Details at Yamava.com. Must be 21. Please gamble responsibly.
Sweet James is the best. Thousands of injured listeners have trusted Sweet James accident attorneys over the last 15 years. That's because insurance companies know Sweet James will not let them take advantage of injured victims. He helps them get the medical treatment they need while their winning attorneys fight to get them the most amount of money possible. Life is hard enough without going through the pain of an accident without legal representation. If it happens to you, you're going to need help. The attorneys and former prosecutors at Sweet James are driven by their purpose to help injured victims recover after an accident, and that's all they do. That's why they're my choice. They recover millions of dollars every month, and you won't pay a dime until they win. So if you're ever hurt in an accident, make the call thousands of listeners have made. Call Sweet James at 800-500-5200, 800-500-5200, or sweetjames.com.
We all went to get school supplies, and my mom says, hey, big spender, you got a 10 on you, why don't you pay for your own supplies?
No.
My whole summer of working was spent on peachy folders.
Oh. Did you learn a valuable lesson about money, though?
Yeah,
The Tim Conway Jr. Show.
stop working and have mom pay for it.
Weeknights at 6
I don't think that's the lesson.
on KFI.
And good morning. Bill Handel here on a Wednesday morning, February 16th. Some of the big stories we are covering today. LA County lifts its outdoor mask mandate, but still requiring the mandate in indoor public spaces. So it is moving, and then at 11 o'clock, the Rams hold a victory parade in LA. And during the news, I will tell you where and how you can line up, and we're going to be reporting on that. Now, I want to go back to what's going on in the trial of the three officers who were complicit in the death of George Floyd. Derek Chauvin, of course, having been convicted of second-degree murder, and he's in jail for 20-some-odd years. And so that issue is gone. The three cops who were there have been charged in federal court with violating George Floyd's civil rights under the color of authority because they didn't render aid, because they didn't stop Chauvin from effectively killing George Floyd. So the first cop, and all three are going to testify, which is very unusual. So Tao, who was there, and he didn't actually touch George Floyd. The other two were on top of George Floyd, holding his legs and being on his back, while Chauvin put his knee on George Floyd's neck, killing him. Tao was running interference. He was between George Floyd and the other two cops, between them and the crowd that was moving forward, the people, several dozen. And so he effectively ran interference, and that is his complicity. But still, the government is arguing he had a duty to render aid and to stop Derek Chauvin from doing what he did. So Tao describes how originally he and Chauvin, who were partnered, show up, a call was made, 2 other cops were actually dealing with Floyd, and then the call's made, and during the altercation, Derek Chauvin, who is the training officer, actually does all of the work in killing George Floyd. All right, so here is Tao testifying about the training. He said he was trained to use that force. In the academy, go ahead and use your knees to sit on people's neck and back to restrain them. Now, a bunch of training experts said that you're dreaming. That's simply not true. So right there is testimony that contradicts each other. So Tao said that initially he suggested using a hobble device to restrain Floyd, but decided against it because Floyd was experiencing what is described as excited delirium, and that's where the suspect displays wild agitation, violent behavior that in and of itself can sometimes lead to death. So he said, I considered that, but I needed a sergeant's approval. And there wasn't a sergeant there. And again, he said what he was a human traffic cone. That's it. And he said that he radioed dispatch to set up the ambulance response. He said, we need one. And then the attorney, his attorney says, what was your response in seeing Chauvin, your training officer with his knee on the back of George Floyd's neck? And Tao said, it was not uncommon. We have been trained to do that. And then his attorney said, why didn't you get physically involved? And he responded, I had a different role. I had assumed they were caring for him, while he wasn't breathing and George Floyd is screaming, I can't breathe. And then Tao testified he didn't even realize the seriousness of Floyd's condition until the paramedics took him away in an ambulance. Then he realized there was something medically wrong here. And he was asked, this is all his attorney, this is his side of it. His attorney says, did you have any idea up to that point how serious the medical condition was? And he said, I had no idea. I mean, I kind of connected the dots. Yeah, I guess this guy was in critical condition when they left. This is when the ambulance left. And George Floyd has been put in the ambulance. And then he said, then I realized there was something serious there. And you go, come on, really? You have to call an ambulance? And you think they just show up for fun? So now comes cross-examination, the assistant U.S. attorney, Leanne Bell. And Tao says, yeah, he was aware of Chauvin's neck, on Floyd's neck. Yeah, he was aware that George Floyd had stopped talking and appeared to be unconscious. Remember, George Floyd said, I don't know how many times, way more than a dozen times, I can't breathe, I can't breathe, I can't breathe. I mean, this is absolutely devastating when you think of this. And you can hear George Floyd at first say, I can't breathe, in a fairly loud, strong voice. And then it gets weaker and weaker and weaker. And what killed the case for Chauvin was a medical expert, a pulmonologist, said if you look at the videotape, you can actually see George Floyd's life being extinguished during that 9 minutes. And the jury said that did it. At that point, that turned it all the way around, if there ever was anything to turn around. And so Tao said, yeah, he was unconscious. Yep, he had stopped talking. We're trained to immediately start CPR if someone loses a pulse and there are no paramedics around. Guess what? No pulse, no paramedics. And he agreed that he had a duty to intervene when witnessing another cop committing a crime. His defense is, number one, I didn't know it was a crime. Number two, we were trained to do this. So how then do you translate we were trained and that somehow translates into a crime? And that is one of his biggest defenses. All three of the police officers are charged with using the color of law, that is under the auspices of their authority as police officer or their position as being one that can move people around, say, hey, you go here. Just that's color of law. And they're using the color of law to deprive George Floyd of his civil rights by showing deliberate indifference to his medical needs that they have a duty to do, and to not do so is a deprivation of his civil rights. And that quite often happens. I mean, if you look at the history of civil rights violation, it really goes back to the days of the civil rights movement, Martin Luther King, John F. Kennedy, Robert Kennedy, who was the Attorney General during JFK's tenure. He's the one that got a lot of these Southerners, white Southerners, in jail. That you had a murder take place of a black man by a bunch of white people. You couldn't get a jury to ever convict. I mean, they were friends. They were in the same community. Blacks were treated with derision. They were not on the same level as whites, as human beings. So you had these juries simply fail to convict. So what did Robert Kennedy do? He brought civil rights, federal civil rights violations against the white, actually at that point, acquitted white defendants, saying that what you did by hanging, lynching someone, killing them indiscriminately, violated their civil rights to basically be alive, to live their life as any citizen does. And that's how that case, or those cases, were rendered. And from that, you see a lot of these federal civil rights violations. And even if the three cops they walk, not guilty, it doesn't matter. This is a federal trial. And that's what this is all about. All right, the Russian-Ukraine situation is not only heating up, although there's another twist that just happened, but this one may cost Joe Biden tremendously politically. As a matter of fact, it is costing Biden a lot of points politically. That's coming up. This is KFI AM 640, live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Phone, car radio, smart toaster, we don't care how you listen, just that you do.
KFI.
KOST HD2.
Los Angeles, Orange County.
Live everywhere on the iHeartRadio app.
Time to celebrate. I'm Jennifer Jones-Lee, live from the KFI 24-hour newsroom. More than 20,000 people are expected to attend the Ram Celebration Parade this morning.
LAPD Chief Moore says people need to plan ahead and arrive early. He says he's deploying extra officers to avoid problems like what happened after the Super Bowl when a couple hundred people were detained for unlawful assembly, looting, and vandalism in downtown LA.
That's why we're going to augment our staffing and ensure that we have more than sufficient resources that can quickly respond. They'll be present. They won't have to respond far.
Moore says he hopes he's wrong, but either way, officers will be ready.
We don't prepare for hope. We deal with reality.
Steve Gregory, KFI News.
A sex trafficking task force in LA and Orange County has released stats from the week leading up to the Super Bowl.
74 adults were rescued. 8 children were rescued. 34 suspected traffickers and exploiters were arrested. And 201 sex buyers were also arrested.
LA County Sheriff Villanueva says multiple local and federal agencies were part of the operation. There were more than 400 arrests statewide. Mask mandates have been lifted in LA County for outdoor mega events and outdoors at K-12 schools and daycare centers. Indoor masking rules stay the same until the county's transmission rate is declared moderate by the CDC. The man believed to be the head of the Mexican mafia in Orange County has pleaded not guilty to drug possession while in jail.
Johnny Martinez was fighting a 2017 murder charge tied to a dispute over paying taxes on drug deals. But in August, Martinez was able to get the murder, conspiracy, attempted robbery, burglary, criminal street gang, and sentencing enhancements all dismissed on a motion. Martinez is also working to get a 1994 second-degree murder conviction thrown out, and the guy is still awaiting trial on charges of the attempted murder of a co-defendant. The not guilty plea this week was for possession of an opioid called Subutex. In Orange County, Corbin Carson, KFI News.
A recent home burglary in Placentia may have not been random at all.
Placentia police say a home that was burglarized last week belonged to a man who owned a restaurant in Anaheim.
We have had a few cases in the past, I'd say 6 months, where a business owner was followed, or I'm sorry, not followed, but at least targeted.
Sergeant Bryce Angel says police are unsure if the robbery is related, but says it's possible the burglars knew the man was a restaurant owner and even followed him to his home. Angel says the burglars in the robbery last week spray-painted the man's dogs and spray-painted security camera lenses. Blake Trolley, KFI News.
The husband and son of the cinematographer shot and killed by Alec Baldwin on a movie set in New Mexico have filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the actor, film producers, and other crew members. Elena Hutchins was killed in October when the gun Baldwin was holding was fired. He claims he never pulled the trigger. Bob Saget's family has taken legal action to protect the late comedian's legacy. They're suing local authorities in Florida to block the release of records that could lead to the investigation in his death. Secretary of State Blinken says Russia's claim that it withdrew troops from the border in Ukraine hasn't been verified.
There's what Russia says, and then there's what Russia does, and we haven't seen any pullback of its forces. They remain massed in a very threatening way along Ukraine's borders.
Video released by the Russian military shows what it says were tanks pulling back and being loaded onto rail transports. We've got to look at the 110 in just a moment.
As the Rams and all of Los Angeles gets ready for today's 11 a.m. victory parade, Coach Sean McVay has some thoughts and shout-outs about what it takes to be the champs.
I think each team is a new team every single year, but when you have the right foundational pieces like Cooper, like Whitworth, you had a player like Stafford, you have Aaron Donald in place, the list goes on and on. You just feel grateful to be a part of it.
Multiple Major League Baseball camps were scheduled to open yesterday with the arrival of pitchers and catchers, and that did not happen because of the lockout, so spring training officially delayed. I'm Wayne Resnick, KFI Sports.
My Life Source whole house water filtration system that I have at my home, I actually do love it. It's just a neat way to filter water, and I've done many water filters over the years. First of all, it's a whole house filter, which means that the water is filtered outside the home, and in it goes. Every faucet, every tap has this highly filtered, delicious, obviously very safe water. And so that's the fun. It also removes chloramines, chlorine, other harsh chemicals, reduces problems caused by hard water. With a Life Source system, you can eliminate the cost and hassle of buying bottled water. If you do that, you can kiss that goodbye. You'll taste the difference when you drink and cook. Now, keep in mind, you're bathing, you're cleaning, you're cooking, you're doing your clothes, you're doing your dishes in what is effectively bottled water, bottled quality water. Your hair and skin will feel the difference when you shower, and there's no maintenance of any kind. Once installed, you're done. Just enjoy the water. So call Life Source at 800-334-5009, 800-334-5009. Visit LifeSourceWater.com. Life Source Water, taste and feel the difference.
Your KFI Financial Report is brought to you by Sweet James Accident Attorneys. The Dow is down 236, S&P down 28, NASDAQ dropping 142, and the average price of a gallon of unleaded gas in California is $4.72. It's mostly sunny today and warmer with highs in the low to mid-60s. We do have a wind advisory in effect for parts of the IE until 4 tomorrow afternoon. That's when we could have highs back in the 70s. Right now it's 48 in Irvine, 47 in Glendale. From the Southern California Toyota Dealers Traffic Center, let's go places. Let's check the one, I believe you said the 110?
You got it. Good morning. Well, talk about an all-pro drive, that's for sure. At Northbound Harbor Freeway coming up from the 105 into downtown Los Angeles. It's just that. It's real slow. Kind of stop and stop. Except for the express lanes, of course, but the main lines are probably about slow enough to the 4-level. Southbound driving looking good. Now, I'm sure you just heard all the parade details coming up here. We'll start about 11 o'clock. All around the Coliseum, Shrine Auditorium, USC. The main streets, this is what you got to watch. Expo, Jefferson, Figueroa, Vermont, they're all impacted somewhat, and watch for traffic control. And, of course, an abundance of gold and blue stuff running around, so be careful. East LA Interchange, a little bit of a problem leading at South 5. Actually underneath the 710, but it's still over for a change, and where our activity is, it wasn't lane, so it's a little slow coming out of East LA. After that, though, a fairly good drive down to Downey in the 605. Northbound's just morning drive slow. Jeff Baugh, KFI in the sky.
Want to boost your immunity and protect your community? Get a COVID-19 booster. They help keep you and others safe from the virus and its variants this winter and beyond. If it's been at least 5 months since your last dose of Pfizer or Moderna, or at least 2 months since your last dose of J&J, it's time for a booster. Visit myturn.ca.gov to find a booster near you. Let's keep our immunity strong. Get your booster. And flu shot while you're at it, too. Brought to you by the California Department of Public Health.
Today is the day. It's the day you make something huge happen. Today's the day you call the weight loss experts at West Medical. From your first nervous call to your very first time you hear, oh my God, you look amazing, they've got you. Look, weight loss procedures are covered by most PPO insurance, but coverage is changing all the time. So lock in your benefits now. Today is your day to call 1-800-WEST-MED or visit westmedical.com for a free consultation.
I feel incredible because I called 1-800-WEST-MEDICal.
Your Trial results will vary depending on procedure selected and adherence to program. I couldn't believe how they called the money, called it up.
More stimulating talk.
I heart radio station.
AM 640. Bill Handel here. It is a Wednesday morning, February 16th. Bob Saget's family has filed a lawsuit to block the release of the records related to his death, autopsy records. And they're arguing that it would be, to them, an infringement, humiliating, all kinds of emotional damage. I don't think that's going to happen at all. And today, LA County lifts the outdoor mask mandate, but still required in indoor public spaces. So that's changing. And then in a couple of weeks, they may lift it even there. One of the things about a new president is there is a honeymoon period. So a president is elected in November, in January, sworn in, and then within a couple of weeks, the State of the Union address is given. And there's all kinds of soaring rhetoric. There's all kinds of America is great. This is what I intend on doing. I'm going to turn America around in 30 minutes and watch me go to work. And everybody thinks that's great. And there are some detractors, of course, but for the most part, the American public is swept up into the excitement of a new president, and therein goes a honeymoon period for a couple of 3 months or whatever the length of the period is, and the president has just good ratings during that time. And then reality hits. And with Joe Biden, reality hit before he was ending his State of the Union speech. I mean, his approval ratings have plummeted. And a lot of it has to do with what's going on in Russia and Ukraine today. The president is looked at as being far weaker than Putin, not in the same league. Absolutely true. Putin is a master of this stuff. I mean, he does this better than anybody in the world. And that is play the geopolitical game. So the president is making a final diplomatic push to stop the Russian invasion of Ukraine, and at the same time, look at the political consequences. And this has to do not only on his election or re-election, we don't know if that's going to happen or not, but also on the Democratic Party to maintain its ability to hold on to power in Washington. Right now, the House is held by Democrats by a sliver, and the Republicans effectively can stop almost anything in the Senate because it's 50-50, and you need more than that. Actually, you need 60 out of 100 senators to really move forward. So what happens if Russia does invade Ukraine? Well, gas prices are going to go up even higher, and probably substantially. Inflation is going to increase. The gains in the stock market, which have been astronomical over the last couple of years, particularly last year, they're going to be wiped out. And Republicans are given this whole new line of attack to argue against the president's foreign policy. And remember, he's up against Putin, and very few people win against Putin. So putting an already unpopular presidency on even shakier grounds going into the fall midterm elections. And fall midterm elections never do well for the party in power, or at least the party that puts the president in. And then he just warned us. I mean, he just said, here we go. For the first time, he's being completely transparent. This is not the most transparent of presidents, even though he argued transparency both during the campaign and at the start of his presidency. And he said, well, through his spokesperson, the White House needs to prepare the American people for what might happen to the world if Putin invades. And here we go. This was said by Michael McFaul, who was speaking on behalf of the president, who was the U.S. ambassador to Russia during the Obama administration. And so Biden, in his remarks on Tuesday, yesterday, said energy prices are going to spike, although his administration is working on ways to blunt the impact. Of course it is. We're always working on something to do a better job, because even though we're falling apart, and that's any president who said that. And White House officials said that politics are not figuring into the foreign policy decisions around Ukraine. Yes, we believe that. Now, there has been a mainly bipartisan effort in Congress how to respond to Russia. However, two things. Some Republicans have already began to try out lines of attack on this issue. And Russia is all of a sudden our enemy. Now, keep in mind, amongst Republicans, Russia was our friend. It was China who was our enemy. Remember, Russia did not interfere with the election. Putin was a good guy. Putin was telling the truth, while 17 national security agencies in the United States were lying. That was the Trump administration take, and Republicans lined up. Well, now Trump is gone, and now we have a Democratic president. We're looking at Russia, still our enemy, and now a little reality is set in, except for these Republicans that are saying this really isn't about Russia, and to the extent that it is, it's really about Joe Biden. And that is the problem. And things like this new international, this is a Republican who said this, Kevin Kramer of, where he's heading, Rhode Island. And he said the new international policy of appeasement to dictators and thugs rather than a demonstration of strength, that has become a license to Putin and Xi Jinping and Iran and the Taliban. And that's what all this is about. Nothing more, nothing less. Be prepared for a whole lot of problems coming up, especially if there's an invasion. And there's a lot. We'll cover a lot more of that because there's just tons and tons to talk about. Coming up, the pandemic and the plant-based food industry. How do they connect? Oh, they connect big time. In the meantime, a couple of senators introducing a bill today that would protect kids online. Jennifer, what's the latest on that?
It's called the Kids Online Safety Act. It would require social media platforms to give parents with tools to protect their kids from harmful content online, including sexual exploitation, bullying, and products. Arizona's a step closer to a ban on abortions. The state Senate just passed a bill. Now it goes to the House. And LA has put in 2 plug-in hybrid electric street sweepers. And the sweepers are named Angus and Malcolm. Yeah, I thought so too. Somebody must be an AC/DC fan. We'll take a look at your drive on the 10 in just a moment.
If you own a business and manage to keep 5 or more people on the payroll during the pandemic, there is a government program that now is in place that pays you tens of thousands of dollars per employee. And it's not a loan, it's a grant. Here's some money. Challenge is getting your hands on it because it's a complicated federal bureaucracy that's pretty difficult to figure out, but innovationrefunds.com does. They cut through the red tape, they get you the money, they're experts at helping businesses get your share of this government money. And innovationrefunds.com does all of the legwork, and they don't charge a dime until you receive the money, and then they share a percentage of the money they get for you. It's a contingency arrangement. In another program that they represented, they got my business a 6-figure refund. On this one, the average client gets $250,000. Now we're talking some serious money. Go to innovationrefunds.com, click on the Qualify Me button, answer a few questions. They do the rest. Innovationrefunds.com.
From the HMS Capital Weather Center, mostly sunny and windy today with highs in the low to mid-60s. This report is brought to you by Caliber Garage Doors. Let's take a look at that drive again on the 10.
Well, kind of an average situation here. Good morning. Happy just John is coming off Kellogg Hill. Westbound 10, Pomona, downtown Los Angeles. Slowest section, definitely. 57 over towards 605. It's just a crawl coming away from Grand. A bit faster once you get past the 605 over to the 710. All lanes open. The South 55 now. Yorba Linda into Costa Mesa. Another average drive there. Slowest section going through the 22. But I think you'll be okay. And boy, we're headed for some big delays if you're going to LAX. Don't go away. Quite a problem. West 105 at Wilmington. More coming up. Jeff KFI in the sky.
Make Caliber Garage Doors your #1 choice for new garage doors. Right now, $200 off, as low as $699 installed, including free bottom seals and haul-away. I'm Jared Buckaloo, president of Caliber Garage Doors, and I personally guarantee will beat any advertised price. CaliberGarageDoors.com. CaliberGarageDoors.com.
This report is sponsored by Whole Foods Market. Chow from Whole Foods Market. Save on your next Italian night and get 25% off Rao's pasta sauces and soups through March 1st. Plus, Prime members save an extra 10%. See more on the Whole Foods Market app.
Wondering if you're paying too much for auto insurance? It's easy to find out at AAA.com/insurance. You could save an average of $483. So stop wondering. start saving. Visit AAA.com/insurance for your free AAA full picture quote.
Take a look at your legs. Are those veins twisty, bulgy, painful, and embarrassing? West Medical offers the latest minimally invasive solutions to erase varicose veins fast. You know, varicose veins are caused by broken valves and they don't heal on their own, so don't wait. Call 1-800-WESTMED for a private consultation. Treatments are covered by most PPO insurances and they offer great financing. Call 1-800-WESTMED or visit westmedical.com today.
I feel incredible because I call 1-800-WEST-MEDICAL.
At Ralph's, fresh groceries are our thing, so we check your delivery order for freshness at every step from farm to store and pick and pack every veggie in your free pickup order with care, because we treat your food the way we'd want ours to be treated. We're fresh every day, so shop anyway. Ralph's, fresh for everyone. Free pickup on orders of $35 or more. Restrictions may apply.
And now you'll find more ways to save on your favorites. When you download digital coupons, you can use up to 5 times in one transaction. Ralph's, fresh for everyone.
Joining us today, Scott Painter, CEO and co-founder of Autonomy. It's a new company. It's right here in LA that offers car subscriptions.
The whole idea behind a subscription was being able to simplify the transaction and make it easier for the customer.
Buying a car also seems so cumbersome. This seems to be a super easy way to get you into this Tesla Model 3.
You're doing the entire thing on your phone. You simply go to autonomy.com, install the app. You simply give us your driver's license and that digital form of payment, and you get either the car delivered to you or you go and pick it up. It's that simple.
Wow. I'm excited about it.
Hey, this is John Hope Bryant, entrepreneur and fellow builder, just like you. Thanks to the help of iHeartRadio and Prudential Financial, I like to present to you my brand new podcast, Building the Good Life, where each week a special friend and I will break down